Hello and welcome to the debut episode of Hard Locks. My name is Garrett Burroughs, and this will be a weekly series here on Vendetta Sports Media YouTube channel. Hit that follow button if you're not already. I will be joined every single week by Alex Chick III, aka Chickster. How are we doing tonight?
I'm all right. We should have got a lock. That was just poor on our part. We should have got a lock in hard lock.
It's work in progress. It's a work in progress. Hard, yes, strap. Every single week, we're going through the top 10 ESPN games for Pick'em on spread for college football. We will also be doing this for the NFL as well. We'll be picking every single game for the week. Keep an eye out for the YouTube next week for that. We are going through week one's picks just to really quickly go through the matchups. We've got Virginia at Tennessee. We've got the Buffs traveling to TCU, Boise State and Washington, Rice and Texas, the UMass Minutemen and Auburn. We've got Ohio State at Indiana and Nevada at USC. First off, right off the bat, Alex, do you have any sort of comments, questions, concerns you want to get at?
Absolutely. I was upset that you said we're doing against the spread, and then you called me a pussy because I didn't want to do it. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess I just had to rise up to the challenge.
It's true.
I was just like, okay, I guess.
It is true because Alex wanted to just pick winners first.
We can pick winners.
We can pick winners all day long, and we're going to be 90%. But the men,
absolutely,
real men are made picking spreads. One thing to note here as well, before we get started with the first matchup of the day, we are going to be keeping score, essentially. So every single week, we are going to keep track of Alex's record for the spread, and we're going to do it against my picks for the spread. And at the end of the year, we're going to see who comes out on top. So
I think I will. So
I like the confidence. You're just wrong. We're going to go into the first game here. Virginia is plus 28.5 against the 12-seeded Tennessee Volunteers. Alex, what are your thoughts?
We're going Virginia. That is a huge-ass spread. For me, that's a huge-ass spread. I know they got Milton at Tennessee, but even then, I'm just like 28 points. I mean, and Virginia's not a bad team. They did lose, but they the only time they the last 5 they lost they won Virginia or Georgia Tech, but shit, they keep up with North Carolina. They keep up with Miami. They're not a horrible team to where Tennessee's gonna. I think Tennessee wins by 29 points. I just don't see it happening. That's 4 touchdowns. So I don't see it. So I'm going to go Virginia here. 53% I could see barely with my 4 eyes. 53% picked Virginia. So I'm with them. I just don't think Tennessee can beat them by 29 points. I think that's absolutely bonkers.
I'm actually with you. I'm also taking Virginia. And one thing to keep in mind off of this Virginia team last year, they were not very good. And in my ACC conference preview that I wrote at vendettasportsmedia.com, be sure to check that out, I have Virginia ranked last in the conference. This is not a good football team by any stretch of the imagination, only because the offense is absolutely terrible. Last season, they averaged 17 points per game, which is abysmal. However, one thing to note is that the defense only allowed 24 points per game, and they were returning 6 starters from a year ago. I think that Virginia's going to lose this game no matter what. They're going to keep it close enough with their defense. But Joe Milton, potential first-round pick. Trey mentioned that at vendetta.sportsmedia.com as well. This will be his first real start. He gets the nod opener. It'll be interesting to see how he kind of comes out of the gate here. If he gets off to a hot start, maybe a Heisman chase potentially, question mark. But I'm going to lean on the defense of Virginia to at least keep this game close where they're not going to get totally embarrassed.
Yeah, I'm with you. It just seemed super high.
It's huge. But we have bigger spreads coming.
Yes.
Keep that in mind. We have bigger spreads coming. Second matchup here, we've got Colorado Buffs with new head coach Deion Sanders and 76,000 new transfers into Boulder. They're plus 20.5 underdog against TCU. TCU was a playoff team a year ago. Max Duggan's gone. They lost some weapons on the offense. Quentin Johnston. They lost their star running back from a year ago as well. It'll be interesting to see how they retool. Alex, do you think we're going to go back-to-back here, or are you taking the favorites?
Give me prime time. It's prime time. Gotta go with Coach Prime. Coach Prime, I mean, if anything, he's going to get those guys to play hard. And if you're like, yeah, no, I don't think Colorado wins this game, but he's gonna get those guys. I can't see a Coach Prime in his debut getting blown out by 3 touchdowns. I don't see it. Like, no, they're not gonna win this game, but shit, like even if the spread was about 17 or 14, I might still take Colorado because you know what? Like I'm a big believer in the Coach Prime thing. I'm a big believer. Like, and I like TCU too, you know. So, but I just don't see it. You know, I think 17 is a little high for them. You mentioned before they lost a whole bunch of weapons. You know, even though their coaches, you know, usually keeps them competitive, 17 seems high. We'll have to see. But I'm gonna go with Coach Prime here. He's got a lot of his guys that he coached already, and yes, they're playing and probably much more competition, like bigger competition. But I still think Coach Prime is going to get these guys. Like he's going to get them right, get them. They're not going to win this game, but I think he's going to make them play hard, super hard.
I hate that we're going 2 for 2 with the same pick, but I'm also taking Colorado. I think Shedeur Sanders has got a little something to him. I think it'll be really interesting to see Travis Hunter play on such a big level as well. And like you alluded to, that's basically 3 scores. I don't see Dion losing his first game by 3 scores. I would even go as far as to say I wouldn't be totally shocked if this was a 1 possession game in the fourth quarter.
I think it's under 10 points. I think it's
I also think it's under 10 points.
Like I think they're gonna surprise some people. I think so. They get blown out by like 5 touchdowns. It's like, okay.
Yeah, could you imagine? Yeah, they lose like 52-10.
It's like,
we're off to a rough start.
My bad. All right.
Going on to the third game here so far, we've got Boise State traveling to Washington to play Michael Penix and the Washington Huskies. Alex, your thoughts?
Michael Penix sounds like Michael Penis. You think he got called Michael Penis in school?
He had to.
Do you think that, like, that had to be a thing, right? Like,
I could only imagine the amount of times he got called Michael Penis.
Fuck, dude, that dude pissed me off. I would have been calling him Michael Penis. I was like, all right, Michael Penis, chill out over there, okay?
I could only imagine. Middle school was probably hell for him, to be honest.
Fuck, you're not even lying. I'm gonna go with the Huskies though. You know, I think 14 is actually a good line for Boise State. I think it might be a little bit out of their reach. You know, I think 14.5 is a little generous for the Huskies. I think they can cover that. But not a totally crazy line here. This is, you know, I thought this one would actually be closer compared to the other ones. But I am going to take the Huskies here. I'm going to go with Michael Penis. And yeah, I think he's going to will them to victory. The victory. Fuck,
Washington.
I forgot to make a B. B.
Washington is the wild card of the Pac-12 for me. I think they have a first-round wide receiver. They have a first-round edge rusher. I think Michael Penix could be in the running for the Heisman this year. I think that this team they genuinely could make a run at the Pac-12 this year. It only takes one fumbled game from USC or Oregon, and then Washington could very well take the conference. I think they cover here as well. I would be interested to see what the first half spread is, because I would be curious to take Boise State first half on spread. It's probably like 7.5 to 8.5 or so. I think it's close early just because they're getting some of the kinks out, getting some of the rust off, and then the second half they're really going to turn it up.
I think 14.5 is a good line for them. Do you think Michael Penis gets drafted early? I'm only calling him Michael Penis now. Do you think
I know you are. It's going to be a year-long thing.
If he goes to the Raiders, I am getting a Michael Penis jersey.
You have to get Penis on the back though.
I'll do Penis. But
could you imagine wearing Penis on the back of your jersey?
Everyone's like, I get a lot of people like, hey. I'm like, no, it's just the dude. It's just the dude.
It's just my quarterback.
That's
my quarterback.
Michael Penis.
That's crazy.
No, I'm just kidding. No.
That's too far. That's absurd. No,
I actually have. Hold on. I have a great joke. I saw this on TikTok. Fuck. What did Cinderella say when she got to the ball?
A classic.
Great joke.
An all-time
Great
classic.
joke. Okay. All right.
We're moving on to one of the bigger spreads that we've had so far, one of the bigger spreads during this series for this week. We've got Rice traveling to Texas, 34.5-point underdogs. Alex, your thoughts?
All my homies hate Rice. Fuck Rice. Go with Texas. And the only reason why I hate Rice is because, and you were with me, we were playing we played NCAA football 13 because I could not afford 14. That shit was like $200, right? And we were playing with UTSA because, you know, I used to be a San Antonio native, right? So I'm like, all right, cool, UTSA, you know, we're not going to pick a big name school, build our program, whatever. Bro, we played Rice the first year. We got fucked. Like, it was bad. And I was like,
Absolutely
Jesus
curb
Christ.
stomped.
And so now all my homies hate Rice. I can't stand Rice. Every time I see him, I just get irritated. The Rice Owls. What kind of stupid-ass name is that? Also, why is Texas like is that crazy that they're ranked below Washington, like, to start out? Is that crazy, or is that just?
I think it kind of depends on your viewpoint on the Texas outlook for the year. If you think Texas is back, I think Texas might be back. I don't 100% know.
I don't like that because they say that Texas is back every year. I will tell you,
that's what I'm thinking.
I am more confident in Texas than I have been in years past.
That's fair. That's 100% fair.
Yes.
That is 100% fair. I think I'm also going with Texas, but it is curious to note from a year ago, Rice was 7-5 against the spread. They weren't a great team last year, but they were 7-5. However, in double-digit games, they were 0-3, and they were like 31.5-point underdogs to USC last year, and they lost 66-14. So they're not covering the big game.
Fuck Rice.
Now to the biggest of the spreads we've come across so far. We've got UMass traveling to Auburn, Alabama to take on the Tigers.
If you don't give me UMass Minutemen, I understand the Minutemen. I understand. I live their life. That is my truth right there. The Minutemen, I'm with you. Like, we have to stick together as Minutemen, okay? And no, I didn't go to the college. So if you haven't picked up what I'm putting down, you're a little too young to be watching this. Minutemen, we're with you. I'm with you. Chickster is with you. UMass over Auburn. That's what it is.
I'm really annoyed that we have the same first pick so far.
Either great minds think alike, or you're not as good as this as you thought you were.
I'm taking UMass, and the reason being, Auburn was terrible against the spread last year. They were 5-6-1. Now this team should be better than it was a year ago. They're still in a bit of a rebuilding time for their university, but UMass went into Kyle Field last year and played Texas A&M and covered. They lost 20-3. Now, I know what you may be thinking, that Texas A&M failed to meet expectations last year. That's entirely fair. However, Kyle Field is a hard place to play. It is not easy, and to cover and to only lose by 17. I know it sounds funny, only losing by 17. UMass isn't a very good team, and they hung with Texas A&M all of that game last year. So,
UMass Minutemen, I'm with you.
We've got the third-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes traveling to Indiana to play the Hoosiers. Alex, we got the news 2 days ago that Ohio State and Ryan Day have finally named a starting quarterback in Kyle McCord. Do you think they cover on the road here?
Before we even get to that, does that scream out like concern? Like, you know, we didn't name. Is the quarterback competition that good, or is it that bad?
I think it should leave some folks to be mildly concerned, only because
they've had a good run of quarterbacks.
Yes.
But Kyle McCord, I don't know. And maybe I'm just ignorant. He doesn't scream confidence to me.
It was between him and Devin Brown, I believe is the kid's name for the starting quarterback spot. You'd like to assume that a team would have full confidence in a guy and they would name the quarterback early. So you kind of have a point where it might lead one to believe a little hesitation, if you're Buckeye fans, that they're naming the starting quarterback 2 days before the season opener.
Do you think they just knew internally and just didn't disclose it? Could that be a thing?
I never buy into that. That never
Yeah.
makes any sense to me. Where we're gonna hold it close to our chest, and like it's the same thing that Arizona's doing in the NFL. The Cardinals, they're refusing to name a starting quarterback to keep things competitive. That's a 3-win fucking team this year. Like
They all
nobody
suck too.
cares who they roll out court. They all suck. All the options there suck.
Really,
So what
their
does it
option is
matter?
to just put the worst guy out there. That's what
That
put the
that
worst
would
guy
make
out.
that would be what I would do. I would put the worst quarterback on the roster
And
and
people are
tank.
like, well, we're not gonna get Caleb Williams. Well, fuck, Drake May at this point is this consolation prize, and oh no, not Drake May.
Drake
You
May
know
or
what I'm
Quinn
saying?
Ewers.
Yeah,
God forbid,
but
I don't get Caleb. I have to settle for one of those two.
oh well, oh well.
Give me a
So
break.
I'm taking that information, right, and I'm looking, and I did hesitate on this one because I was like, dude, I don't like Ohio State Buckeyes not naming their quarterback doesn't scream confidence to me. However, Ohio State's always gonna have guys. They always have guys that can play, and it's the Indiana Hoosiers. And when's the last guy that was actually pretty good from Indiana? That's not basketball. They're a basketball school. It is what it is. Like, or they used to be. I don't know what kind of school they are, but you know, I think I'm gonna stick with Ohio State here. I am, but I don't know. That was a tough one.
I still don't know that I've made up my mind. An interesting thing that I noticed from last year, Ohio State was 5-6-1 against the spread.
Mm-hmm.
That's not great. That is not ideal. I mean, Indiana was 4-8 against the spread. That's not great either. But having one less covered than Ohio State, who was a perennial playoff contender last year, should be kind of cause for concern as well. It's also interesting to note that a home dog is getting 27 points.
Yeah.
Almost 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But I think it's hard to argue with the weapons that Ohio State has. They have
that's the only reason.
They have two of the top receivers in the country.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a great running back in Travion Henderson. They've got real solid kids on defense as well. I'm probably also taking Ohio State. This is another game where I'd be really curious to see the first half spread and take Indiana. Because I wouldn't be shocked if we do this next week and we check back in on this game and Ohio State struggles out of the gate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where it's I could see this game being like 17-10 at the half, Ohio State.
And then they just
they turn it on in the second half because Ryan Day makes those adjustments. But it's an interesting game. I wouldn't also be shocked if Indiana covers if we're wrong on this one.
Right. All right.
We've got the Fighting Matt Hannafins in the Nevada Wolfpack traveling to Southern California to take on Caleb Williams and the Trojans. Alex, your thoughts?
I mean, would I be a Vendetta guy if I picked against the Matt Hannafins? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. It's Caleb Williams. Yes, they probably cover. They probably get 36 points. But who am I to not be a believer? I'm a big believer. And I believe if Vendetta, if we are a pack, we are a wolf pack. I gotta go with Nevada here. I gotta stick with my guys. If we're a pack, I'm gonna stick with Hannafin, and we're gonna go Nevada here. And I'm a root hard for Nevada. Okay, and even if they lose by 35 points, we were there.
That's true.
We were there. We had it. I'm going Nevada. That's the smart pick. Pick.
Call me crazy. I'm hesitant on taking USC because they didn't cover week 0. Mm-hmm. They were 34.5-point favorites, and they didn't cover. They played. I'm drawing a blank on who they played. Alex is on it, but the Nevada USC matchup. I want to say this is the 5th matchup in school history. I saw that on Twitter. We're not calling it X here. We're calling it Twitter. is where OG.
Yeah,
says
it's always Twitter.
It's always going to be Twitter. I saw a statistic that I think this is the 5th time that these schools have ever played. They don't play a lot. The last time they played, USC won by 30 plus points. Go ahead, Alex.
San Jose State.
San Jose State. Thank you. San Jose State covered that game. So
28 points.
But yeah, I am going to take USC only because I don't have it in me to bet against my team. But this is another game where it could be a backdoor cover or something crazy where like USC pulls out the starters late and Nevada claws in to get a little points at the end.
Nevada, Wolfpack, we're there.
We've got another home dog here, and this one's a bit confusing. We've got the Carolina rivalry, South Carolina traveling to Raleigh to play the Tar Heels and Drake May, 1.5 point dogs at home. This one is This one is a real weird spread to me. Alex, what are your thoughts?
Looks like free money to me. That's North Carolina for me.
It does scream free money to me.
Like that looks like free money. Does Storm Duck still play for North Carolina?
He does not.
That bitch. Where does he play for now?
He went to Louisville, I believe.
I hope Storm Duck, who played for UNC last year, goes to goes to a team and like that jersey is gonna be clean.
I'm getting it. I'm getting a Storm Duck jersey.
Ooh, could you imagine if it was like he went to like Philly for some reason and he's like a fucking backup, but it's like a Kelly Green one? Oh, that's disgusting.
That's tight.
But we've been to North Carolina. We've seen Drake May play.
That's true,
bro. I don't see it. Maybe it's a Spencer Rattler thing. Maybe it's that. I don't know.
He's been getting a lot of hype this offseason.
He's really. And he's always been talented. His thing was an attitude thing. And, well, they knew Caleb Williams could play, and he was coachable. And when he went in, when Spencer Rattler got benched and, he went in, he fucking took over. And, and it was raps. Like, so I think that was a humbling experience for Rattler. And I think he's talented. I think he's still talented. I think if there's a reason why they're South Carolina's home dogs, it's because of him. But I don't think he's as good as Drake May. I think Drake May is a little bit more polished. I think Spencer Rattler, don't take this out of context, but he's not. He's like a Patrick Mahomes. I feel like he has a lot of, he's a wild card, right there. Patrick Mahomes. He's got tools. Patrick Mahomes was a wild card, and he went to the Chiefs, which was a great situation. Got coached up, and now he's Patrick fucking Mahomes. Like I can kind of see that for Rattler, not maybe like 40% of that. Like let's not take this out of context, right? But I think he is talented. I think he can play. I think South Carolina's been good to him. I think it's been humbling and a developing good. I think it's good for him. I think he's right now a mid-round QB. Just based on everything that happens. But I got to go North Carolina here. I just don't see, they lost Josh Downs, but they still have Drake May. This is not a bad team. This is not a bad team, especially when you have Drake May at quarterback. It can't be a bad team.
Alex and myself and one of our friends went to North Carolina, and while we were there, we saw UNC play Pitt. And it was a great game. We had awesome seats. We were, I think, 5 rows off the field. We were on like the 30-yard line. Two
rows.
That's right. We were mad close on the 30-yard line. It was awesome seats. So we've seen Drake May in person. He's a fucking stud. I just remembered this. I could see where UNC might be 1.5 point dogs. You alluded to the Spencer Rattler thing. I'm not wondering if the odds makers are still holding their record from a year ago against them, where UNC looked like they were going to be contending for the ACC title, and they dropped their last 4 games of the year. The team completely fell apart at the end of last year, so I'm not wondering if they're holding that against them. I think that would be a mistake, though. That seems like a massive, massive mistake. Also, For those in the beginning who saw me go over the rundown, I didn't scroll down far enough. So I'm a bitch, I guess, because we still have these games remaining. We've got West Virginia against Penn State, and we've got Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers against the Bruins. So we're going to go up here. This is West Virginia against Penn State. They open the year against each other every single year. I'm going to let Alex take the floor first. Alex, what are your thoughts?
I gotta go with Penn State. I'm not as high on Penn State as other people are. I think they'll still be. I don't like. You say there's 7. I was like, you're telling me there's not 7 teams better than Penn State, or what? That's how I kind of think of it. So yeah, but they're playing West Virginia, and West Virginia. They're one of those teams that you're like, oh yeah, they should be good, and then they always just kind of disappoint. So I am going to go Penn State here. I know some players that are good from there that you can get more insight on that because you were telling me about them. But I think Penn State will cover. They'll win and cover, obviously. And I think 18 points is not crazy. So
it's a rivalry game, so it should make some bettors a little hesitant against such a massive spread in a rivalry game. And Penn State's going to be starting a new quarterback this year, Drew Allar, who I can't sing his praises enough. I think he's an absolute stud. They've got one of the best backs in the country, Nicholas Singleton, back there. I wrote an article recently for Vendetta about I believe that Kalen King, not Kool-Aid McKinstry, is the best corner in the country.
Mm-hmm.
I think this team was a 10-win team from a year ago, and I only think they got better. I think Ohio State took a step back. They're still loaded at certain positions, but I think they slightly regressed with the loss of C.J. Stroud.
Right.
And it's really between Penn State and Michigan. Sorry, there's hella fruit flies in this apartment. It's absurd. I think the comment Alex made about some people not being as high as some people on Penn State, I'm those people because I have Penn State as a playoff team this year. I have Penn State winning the Big Ten, and I have them as a playoff team. So I think I have all the confidence in the world in this team. Plus, Penn State went 9-3 against this spread a year ago, and they only got better this year. The loss of Joey Porter is going to sting, obviously, and they lost some other pieces as well. But returning Olu Fashanu at tackle, who is, for my money, the best tackle in the class, that's going to really help Drew Allar get real comfortable behind this line. I think this one could be another close one, but I think Penn State probably pulls it out in the end. We're going to go to our last game. We've got the Chanticleers traveling out west to UCLA to take on the Bruins. Alex?
I'm just glad you said the name because I looked at it and I had an aneurysm, but I can't read well.
The Chanticleers.
Yeah, but I'm going to go with UCLA here. I don't know. I can't sit there and be super confident in Coastal Carolina. I just can't. Like, I'm not gonna, I think it's when they had Grayson McCall. I think they were okay, but I'm not gonna sit there and tell you, Coastal Carolina is good. I'm gonna take UCLA. I'm bigger team. Probably have better recruits. I mean, I know it's a cop out, but that's who I'm going with. I'm going UCLA, and I think they can cover a touchdown and a field goal, I guess, because it's hard to get 15 points. But
it is, and I'll be interested to see how UCLA adapts after losing Dorian Thompson-Robinson to the draft this year.
Who did really well in the
lit it up.
Yeah.
Yes. He basically won the backup job.
Yeah.
Which is, good for him. Trey wrote an article about he might be a potential dynasty stash. And that's something to consider too, especially if Watson struggles this year. I don't think Cleveland has a really good out of that contract. Not necessarily saying that they would either, but they've got a proven backup. They're proven in the sense of he played really well this preseason.
Deshaun Watson's better than a lot of quarterbacks in the league.
No, and listen, I understand that. I'm saying that as well. I think he bounces back this year. I'm not saying he's going to struggle. I'm just saying on the chance he does, they should feel confident enough potentially to explore options to move on from him.
Well, I mean, you know, there's always injuries could arise and all that. Like that could always happen. You know, it would be interesting. I don't think the Browns could, but if the Browns were like at a losing record, like at the trade deadline, I'm like, well, maybe. So I don't know, but yeah, is the only one we disagreed on, or was it just the Wolfpack?
Yes, to go over our picks really quick here at the end, Alex and I are both taking Virginia to cover against Tennessee. Colorado's covering against TCU.
Coach Prime.
That's right. Washington's covering 14.5. Texas with a massive spread covers 34.5. The biggest spread of week 1 for the ESPN College Pick'em. We're picking UMass to cover Auburn.
Minuteman stay together.
We went back and forth on Ohio State and Indiana. We ended up agreeing that Ohio State should cover. We wouldn't be shocked if Indiana does at the end. This is the only one we differed on. Alex is riding with the Fighting Matt Hannafins with Nevada, and I'm picking with my team, the USC Trojans. We're both taking the home dog, North Carolina, against South Carolina. Penn State's covering 17.5 in I think the Backyard Brawl is the name of the rivalry game, like what the official title is.
I'll believe you.
Cool, sounds good. Against West Virginia, and then UCLA covers against Coastal Carolina, which means that Alex and I should be close after week 1 because we only disagree on one game. It should be real close.
I think we actually might only differ on one game, actually. After all 10, like, I think one of us will have one win over the other. Isn't that crazy? I mean, you could have – it's okay. There's a thing in, like, fucking fencing where, like, you know, you let your opponent get ahead so they let down the guard and you win. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
How did that go again?
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It is what it is. Sometimes when we play chess, I let you take some of my pieces because I have a bigger attack coming.
Yes. You let me take some of the pieces. Gotcha.
I always do. Always the pawns. I always let you take the pawns.
That's all good. It's all good. We'll keep
it should be good, though. Imagine us, we just go, you know, both 0 for 9 and that we got.
Imagine if we recorded this video next week and Alex is 1 for 9 and I'm 0 for 10. I may not do this again. We may scrap the series there.
We would have to name it the fade.
The fade locks. We're changing the name after week 1 from hard locks to fade locks. Great. I love that.
Just fade hard locks. Like, you know, hard locks to fade.
Like, absolutely absurd. But we're going to wrap up here. This has been the debut episode of Hard Locks for college football. Like I mentioned at the top of this episode, Alex and I will also be doing Hard Locks for the NFL. Keep an eye on the Vendetta Sports Media YouTube channel. That'll be coming next week as we prep for the start of the NFL regular season on Thursday between the Lions and the Chiefs. We made it. We made it, and we're here. We've got football back in our lives. Everything's right in the world. If you don't already, be sure to subscribe to the Vendetta Sports Media YouTube channel. Be sure to give a like on the video, and be sure to hit the bell so you never miss any more uploads from the Vendetta Sports Media YouTube channel. Alex, any last thoughts?
We might get a comment from Logan Camden and just being called a nutsuck liquor, but, you know.
Nutsuck liquor.
That's the only thing I have. I think that's the only comment we might get. Maybe Ohio State fans coming in here acting crazy because we didn't.
Hey, listen,
we didn't have confidence in the quarterback. They're fucking crazy.
If you don't like our picks, be sure to let us know in the comment below. We're gonna see you next week.